Fires was asking us if you could wear a Victorian smoking cap with a kilt. And I want to dovetail that with, it's not on my immediate page, but we had a question about wearing an Irish walking cap with a kilt, so alternative head coverings. Do you want to take a stab at this, or should I, since I looked at the hats?
When you have the hairstyle that I do, I'm not a hat guy. So
I'm because of my hairstyle,
well,
I'm totally a hat guy. I love
I'm
hats.
not a fashion hat guy. I am
Yeah.
a function hat guy.
Well, I'm both.
I will wear the
Yeah.
boonie hat, every time I go outside in the sun, to the pool, whatever. Boonie hat, I don't care what it look like. It is what it is. So I'm not a good fashion-conscious hat person. That I will defer to you.
As you wish, my lord. So to the first part of the question with the Victorian smoking hat, I wouldn't do it. They basically, and I think this may have come through in our brief discussion on the Kilts and Culture Facebook group, which if you're not on it, folks, I highly recommend you join. The Victorian smoking cap was exactly as the name implies. It was designed for a specific context. You only wore them at home. They served two purposes. One was to keep your head warm, because homes were drafty back then. You had, wood-fired or coal-fired stoves. Individual rooms were heated, but not whole houses were. So
Not a lot of insulation.
Not a lot of insulation at all. So house coats and caps were very common to keep you warm. The second purpose for a smoking cap was to keep odors from pipe and cigar and later cigarette tobacco smoke, basically, from getting into your hair. They didn't wash as often as we do. Sometimes they were using a pomade, and your hair would just pick up those odors. And in order to be gentlemanly and not offend your lady wife or anybody else, the hat became a way of keeping the tobacco odors out of your hair. So they were very highly customized, very much a throwback to, or inspired by, I should say, like Turkish hats like the fez, sometimes Chinese hats, which I don't know the name of.
Tassel on the top?
Yeah, the tassel was...
Propeller?
I think they totally got the tassel. Well, the propeller is different.
Okay, fair.
That's the Little Rascals. But they were definitely an at-home fashion. You had a public face in Victorian times, and you had a private face. That is a private thing. If you want to be an eccentric, wacky dude going off to a steampunk event in your kilt, then sure, fine. But otherwise, a smoking cap really isn't appropriate for wearing outside of the house. The second hat that was mentioned was the Irish walking cap, which is sometimes confused with a trilby, but it's also sometimes referred to as a bucket cap or a bucket hat. Except an Irish walking cap is a little more tailored than your typical bucket hat. Yes, a buck's worth of cats. And that is basically a traditional Irish fisherman's hat. Goes back to about the turn of the century, about 1900. And I would say, as we've said with things like trilbies and other very short brim hats, it'll look okay with a kilt. It's tweed. Tweed fabric is always acceptable with a kilt. And it's a lower profile than something like a fedora or something with a wide brim, which I think breaks up the line with a kilt outfit. It looks odd, having this horizontal line on the top of your head and then going down to the kilt. A short brimmed hat looks better. I've certainly seen people using Irish walking hats or bucket hats with a kilt, as long as it's a traditional style, not like the military style of bucket hat or the 60s mod style of a bucket hat. Those would look strange. But an actual Irish bucket hat, walking hat, sure. So there you go.
What he said.
I'm the hat guy. And yours?